What is up, everybody? It is Southside Deech and Justin here taking over the show today. Tino cannot make it, so it'll just be us today talking about this last week of White Sox baseball, which looking back, I felt like it was a lot more brutal than, they did win three of six. So, not terrible, but it did not feel as good. There were a lot of
Yeah.
just
I,
things that took place throughout it where you're like, it doesn't feel like we're playing the best baseball we could be, or at least the level of baseball that they could be playing at this point. So,
well, they got their ass kicked out of the gate Monday night when you have your guy who's been the best pitcher for you this season on the mound. Then you have the kind of, bullpen meltdown deal, the other one. So it's never fun when you take the field for like the Wednesday, Thursday getaway game and you're just trying not to get swept. That puts a damper on it. But I don't want to downplay winning a series in Toronto, man. They don't go up there and win series very often, even when they're not a 100-loss team. So that, and the Blue Jays have been playing well too. That's not even like, we say, like when you play a team, and they have been playing better. So, that was encouraging that I said on Friday when people were here and watching the game. I was like, this is the last place in the league I would have bet on them to end an 8-game losing streak. And then they turn around and win the series too. So that was good. Yeah, the Arizona series was a little discouraging, obviously, for, a lot of what we saw wasn't great. But it was nice for them to bounce back and win yesterday. I think they're going to have a tough time with the Giants this weekend. Obviously, we'll get to that closer to the end of the episode, but yeah. So not the worst week of the season. Hard to complain about 3-3 when they're gonna lose 110 games. So
it was just almost like a roller coaster where I feel like there were such positive moments. Like, winning, finally, like ending the losing streak. Then you're like, oh shit, we won a series in Toronto, and then to come home and get spanked was a little tough to swallow right off the bat. Anywhere in that series it would have sucked, but I was hoping they'd come out and be like, oh, now we're back home. We just came off a big series win in Toronto and have some momentum going for us. But the interesting thing, obviously Shane Smith started the Monday game, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And you see a range of people's comments. I think it was his second kind of rough start in a row, or rough outing in a row. You have the extremists of the overreactions of, he probably ruined his all-star bid, and
which, like, who gives a shit? Honestly, like,
yeah,
frankly, like, we're getting the one representative because we have to get one either way, whether that's him or somebody else. It's not like, I'd love to see him get it because it's a great story, and he's been probably the biggest reason to watch this year on the days that he has pitched. So I'm rooting for it to be him. Now, I'm not, whether that's something that the fan base should actively be concerning themselves with is who is our all-star representative. Again, we're just getting one because we have to get one. He was going to go there and probably not pitch. Whereas, like, now, I jokingly said it, tongue in cheek, but like, send Grant Taylor because he might actually get a crack to go out there if he can, come out for an inning and just clock 102 a few times, and we can actually see our guy play. How do you feel about that?
It would be cool, like you said. The story behind Shane Smith would just be very cool to see happen. Grant Taylor obviously is just. Each time you go in, you're like, oh, this guy's about to throw gas. Like, he's hitting 102. I feel like on some of his pitches,
he did hit 102. I think over the weekend, and then I didn't see him. He pitched. I know he pitched a Wednesday. I know he pitched the 7th yesterday, but I didn't watch any of it. But in Toronto, he was absolutely popping the glove.
So, and then I did see a comment. They asked Kyle Teal if he told Grant Taylor or did his hand hurt after, and he's like, "That's what I told him, but no."
That's funny. That's good.
And you had mentioned earlier on the One Barstool show that a few of the players were on. I did kind of go back and look into that. It was Burke, Vassell, and Teal.
Yeah. So
great personalities on the team.
They were great. They do. So I watch the show regularly. I try to tune in for at least like 20 to 30 minute chunks when I take lunch and I'm working at home. And so they do this thing called the gauntlet, which is just a bunch of different like little athletic things they have to do around the basketball court, and then they come in and do trivia. And Kyle Teal, Sean Burke clocked the best time of the history of the gauntlet outside of Barstool employees. So for guests, so that was really cool to see. They all did pretty well, but he and they've had tons of different athletes do this from all different sports, and Sean put the best time. So that was probably the most proud I've been of the team this season, honestly.
Yeah, I didn't see that part. I mean, I saw when they were in the studio, kind of just going back and forth. And yeah, Mike Vassell, I feel like has a huge personality. They all, though, together, it seems like they can actually build a clubhouse that isn't this bullshit that we watched transpire over the last few years of finger pointing and tantrums and all that other shit. So,
Oh, absolutely. I was actively thinking about that while watching it, that they've come a long way, that they have a group of guys who can actually go on there and chop it up, and do multiple shows. Because what you're talking about is the Stretch podcast, which is another. So they're sitting down to film an interview for that. That'll come out on Monday, I assume. This was just live on a show with no parameters. They just sit there and shoot the shit. And so it was just great to see them. Like, you can tell that they're just dudes and that they all
yeah.
get along. And they were talking about the clubhouse. They're doing a bit about if a hypothetical rule where you could get one player on your team on steroids and like who they pick. And they were like, oh, could you imagine 88 on steroids? And they were talking about how Boozer is already built like he's on steroids. So it was just funny. And it was good to just see them kind of candidly hanging out and chopping it up.
Oh, definitely. Speaking of 88, we can kind of jump to that. Yesterday, everyone was under the assumption we were doing a hug watch as he got pulled. What was it, the first inning, I think?
Yeah, I think it was literally the
Yeah.
first. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I see the notification that Austin Slater has picked up a bat and is pinch hitting for Robert. And you're like, well, I mean, we kind of figured this was coming, but my brother actually texted me and he's like, I'm not going to have an active player jersey for Sunday when we go if this is it. And I was like, I mean, it could be maybe a GM. He homered what the night before. Maybe a GM was like, all right, that was enough of what I need to see.
Yeah, well, he hit homered at home against Arizona on one of those games, and then I think it was a second night, because they didn't score the first night. So and then he hit that tank on Friday night in Toronto. So I was like, all right, maybe they're seeing like, okay, there's still life in the bat, and we'll take our flyer on him right now. We can still get him for cheap, just in case he, has a big July and we don't want to pay the deadline price competing against a bunch of other teams.
Yeah. And I honestly think Getz really fucked himself in this scenario. I mean, holding on to him. The betting of like he's going to be healthy and hit in this lineup. I mean, everyone for some reason in the fan base like hates Benintendi, like loves to just shit on Benintendi. Again, his bat's starting to heat up. I mean, they talked about what?
I like Andrew Benintendi. I've said on here before, it's not his fault that he has the contract he has. If he was making $3.5 million, nobody would care.
Oh yeah. Well, and I mean, Robert's still batting under 200. There's certain stats where I just can't ignore that, regardless of what you think he can do. Even with the stolen bases, he could have so many more stolen bases if he was batting even 220 at this point. I mean, they're going to have to, if what is true, where they claim that the Sox are willing to eat money to move him. If you can eat a ton of it and actually get something, okay. I'll be interested to see how much money we're actually talking. Because I mean, you could eat out a bunch of his contract this year, but is a team going to be like, well, we want more, so if we decide to pick up the option, we have that. But
this is for Benny.
No, for Robert.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I did see that there was a report that they would eat some money if they moved
Benintendi too. It was both of them. Yeah.
Okay.
They're apparently willing to eat money for either of them, and I want to say Jefferson Passan. That came from one of his articles, so I mean, it seems to be legitimate, but
yeah, that's fine. I mean, you have to do, but if you do that, then I would like to see them spend beyond that. I don't want them to act like those guys are still fully on the books next season if they're playing if they're playing somewhere else. I mean, Robert's got the
Yeah.
option that whole deal, so it's not really as much of a thing going into next year. But like Benintendi, if you trade him and eat the money, then that you're eating the money, but you should still spend like you're not, if that makes sense. Like,
I mean, even if you just move Robert, I mean, there's zero reason for them to keep playing this. Like, we're gonna drag our feet on carrying a payroll. They need to start adding something.
yeah,
You have what I mean, at least the beginning of a core is starting to develop. I mean, there's the argument of, well, none of these guys are part of the real core, and there's all these people who are getting all fucking excited about like the 18-year-olds we have in playing like single A ball, but
right,
ultimately,
yeah. I mean, those guys are years away.
yeah. So, and the whole thing, the timeline of Jerry needing to sell the team. So we're in 2025. They said what 2029 is the first year, and then
That
it
he
goes
could, yeah.
to. You have to imagine part of the reason he's doing that is because he thinks he has one more shot at like I
Right.
can like Chris Getz like build this up and try and make a playoff run and like back off on a high note essentially, or like the here fans like I'm gifting you this type of exit. So
No, I think that's completely correct. My question, my worry with that, or I think that he thinks he can do that, but I still don't think that he is willing to do fully what it takes to compete in today's.
yeah,
He can say that, but we're still what, year and a half removed from him laughing off the thought of signing Shohei Ohtani, which I get. That was even the dot. They have, that's a bullshit contract, but and the reason why we're not going to have baseball in 2027, part of it at least. So I still, I hope that the money's spent. I hope that Ishbia has money that he's going to put into this and make it so that they're actually put pieces on the field next year that aren't Michael Taylor I don't mean to call him out specifically, but of that ilk, like hold me over contracts, guys that literally just warm bodies. But I don't know.
who knows what the actual plan is. I saw Chris Getz, I don't know if it was like when he got interviewed before the homestand, made some comment about like they're not going to be like necessarily like proactive about spending and are going to wait for the right moment. It's like, well, but I mean, you claim this was going to be a quick turnaround, and we've sat through. It's going to be 2 seasons here, so people are going to want to see more than like the Michael A. Taylor 1 year. Like,
Tommy Pham. I mean,
yeah,
yeah. No, the right moment is when you fucking decide that you want it to be the right moment, that you're going to commit to putting a winning team on the field next year. They have some nice pieces on the team currently. Nothing close to anything that would resemble a playoff team if they ran this back next year, even if you count on all of those guys taking another step forward, like your Teals, your Caros, your Madras, your Vargas, and what have you. But, one arm for the rotation, couple arms for the bullpen, couple bats. Why can't they sign Eugenio Suarez? Why can't they go get a guy like that to play third base for them next year and hit 40 home runs? Something they are so desperately lacking, both at that position and of what he can bring to the team from an offensive standpoint. And then there's, I know that a lot of people think that Montgomery and I'm done holding my breath for that. That's the problem too, is I don't want him to be, this offseason he's factored into, well, we have Colson Montgomery. He'll come up at some point, where he'll say that for the third offseason in a row. And then he'll be, it'll be mid-May and people will be posting how he's hitting 208 in Charlotte.
now let me ask you this: with that, would you? Because I believe it's you who is not a huge Bo Bichette fan.
I and not as a player, it's just I just don't like him. It's not his game. It's just I don't like him.
Okay. Well, I was just saying he's a free agent next year. What would be worse for you?
No. That's not even a question. You sign the guy who's an established major league player.
Okay.
Are you talking in terms of signing him?
Shortstop. Yeah, signing him over just like running Colson Montgomery out, regardless of how this year ends.
Oh, sign Bo Bichette 100%. I can get over whatever disdain I've just built for him in my head. It's more of a Blue Jays thing than a him thing. I thought that I hated like all that like baby Jays crap and the way that they were knighted, even though that they were always just pretenders. They're a social media team. For any fans in the chat, they're the San Diego Chargers of the MLB. They are. Everything is in these hypotheticals and these this team. It's a TikTok generation bullshit. And real ball knowers know that both those teams were frauds. But that said, I would much rather have them actually sign an all-star-ish caliber player, or at least all-star adjacent, than go unproven guy who hasn't even, again, if he lights it up in July and August, September call up and, gets his feet wet here, maybe we're having a different conversation. I'm just not foreseeing it going that way.
No, he was out of the lineup yesterday, and it was like he got back from his little trip to Arizona and had like a little rise and then just came crashing down again. So I don't know what's going to get him to figure it out. Some fans are sitting there wanting him to just get called up. I'm normally a fan of that with prospects, as you know. I'm generally like, yeah, I mean, fuck it at this point. Either he's gonna, but he just, you almost think it would make it worse if you called him up right now, and just mentally like ruin him at this point.
Yeah, I see both sides of that coin. You're right that you're calling time of death on him if you call him up to the big leagues and he's just completely lost up here, and then you will have the people saying like, oh, they rushed it, whatever. I mean, but if I feel like I'm more like how you are usually. I feel like it's a shit or get off the pot situation at this point where he's never going to become this. He's never going to bat 275 and hit 25 homers in Charlotte. Is just simply never. You're going to start next year again, hoping, hey, this is maybe the year he takes off. I mean, we're talking about a guy. We're years removed from him being this heralded prospect at this point. I almost think it's like, see if I don't know. I've so far moved off him that all of this to me is even just hypothetical talk. Like, I don't think he's ever going to be a big league player, not a productive one at least, which sucks. I mean, this happens, and it's better to find out now than after he's in the major leagues and you've already paid him and locked him up, like it just happened with, Moncada and Jimenez and whatever. Like, it's better to just know, hey, he's not what we thought he was going to be. And we have other options, thank God. I still don't know how I feel about Mydrith as a shortstop, which is why I assume why you asked about Bo Bichette. I think Mydrith would be better at second base. He's fine at short, but he's had a few throws that have been like, you can tell that this is not his natural position. And I love him. I'm not trying to dog him at all. I think he's been one of my favorite guys to watch on the Sox in a long time, but
yes. I mean, him, Miguel Vargas, Caro, Teal, all very. And I actually, a few days ago, was saying, like, maybe they called Teal up too early because he did look lost at the plate. And then within the last couple of days, he's really, I mean, yesterday, would he have 3 hits, I believe?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's good to see that it wasn't just like, oh, shit, we just rushed him. Because it was ironic. He was like player of the week, and then they like called him up that Friday, or player of the month or whatever. So,
well,
but
they're making good.
I mean, that's just been exciting just to watch those 4 primarily. I mean, some of the pitching's been good. Sean Burke, I mean, put together a good outing yesterday. His first innings always make me nervous, but I mean, he seems to be. I just don't know what they fully do though with the pitching. But was there anything you wanted to add to that before we move on to pitching more so?
I wanted to make the point about I love Vargas. He's an intense player. He cares. He shows a lot of emotion. He came through with that huge hit in Toronto on Sunday. Dude, that was like they're like 200 something when trailing after 7 innings the last 2 years now, or it's a stat so ridiculous that I can't even remember it because it didn't even seem real when I read it. But getting a win like that, those are the kind of things that like you're looking for, like starting to turn the tide. Oh, hey, they're not going to lose another fucking 1-run game here. I can't even remember the other point I wanted to make, but they're trying to give. It's very clear they're trying to give us reasons to watch, and to not, and they are trying their best to kind of glue this together with some of the guys they've called up. They've signed so much like this, like adding Savali to the rotation. Hauser, like they're really. It feels like there's an effort to like let's not make this unwatchable.
Yeah.
Maybe more so than reasons to watch. It's like let's not be embarrassingly bad. They're still going to lose well over 100 games, but that's what makes me the most curious going into this offseason is okay, now next year is, like you said earlier, like the next step to where it's enjoyable to watch, not just not unbearable.
Yes, because I mean, I can't say. I mean, at least at this point, you can't say, "Oh, Kyle Teal is going to be like a star on this team," or Edgar Carroll is going to be. There's no one that's
Right.
like fit that mold. I mean, Vargas is probably the closest, but it's such a small sample size that I'm not even going to go on.
Right.
Like,
And he still hit like
I'm not gonna
30.
say it at this point, but
Right.
um, they have to add some star power. I mean, and it can be a Eugenio Suarez or whatever. Like he's not like a crazy, but I mean, like well-known name where everyone would be like, "Oh my!" It's not a Bryce Harper, it's not a Manny, but he's still a very, very good baseball player that like is considered somewhat of a star around the league.
Yeah, man, he hit his 300th career homer the other day.
Yeah,
I think that is a good splash, and the people, like you said, within it's not a Bryce Harper, but like people within the game would be like, yeah, he's going to look really good. They desperately need the guy in the middle of their lineup who can hit 40 and drive in 100. You know, they just
yeah.
that's just what they're lacking. There's just not. It's a numbers game, man, and they don't have enough guys who are putting up stats that help you win baseball games. But you know, well, they weren't expected to this year. So you're watching for the little things and the little progress, and it was nice to win a game like they did on Sunday.
And then pitching wise, it's definitely going to get interesting. I am waiting to see what they announce. I would not be shocked if Shane Smith technically would be starting Friday or Saturday, Sunday, I believe. Um, but as of now, there's no pitcher listed for it, so it wouldn't shock me if they bumped him to give him an extra day of rest. Um, the pitching could get interesting. I mean, Jonathan Cannon, I believe, is either on a rehab assignment or starting one soon, where they said he'd probably need one or two starts in Charlotte. So he should be coming back, but it seems like. Do you think Shane Smith is just like burnt out, where this is like he's plateaued probably for the season just because of the lack of innings, or do you think it could have just been a few rough starts where they get him to collect himself? Maybe even if it takes after the All-Star break, he gets that week or so or a couple days of rest, and or do you think he just has reached his limit and they're going to really need to do some work here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be like an alarmist or panic or anything, but like I do, where I am worried that he is a guy who hasn't, you know, he hasn't been healthy. He hasn't pitched a workload like this ever. Um, you know, we're talking about a guy who really wasn't even healthy in college. So I the important thing is that the stuff plays. Like we know he's a major league level pitcher because we've seen him at his best. This is not like all the league figured him out or the words out on him. Like no, when you have nasty shit like he has, like that's sustainable. But for this year specifically, I'm worried that yes, he's kind of like, and I'm not. He'll have his moments if they keep him in the rotation. If you said they might go, they might go to 6 men in the rotation, which is more than fine by me. It's not like you have any guy who's dominating, losing out on starts over it. If anything, the less of a workload will be a better for the value of Adrian Hauser come the deadline. They're definitely not going to be able to move Savali. I mean, not to a contender, unless somebody gets really desperate. I guess with the expanded playoffs, it's never really out of the question. But yeah, I'm thinking that it's probably just a lot on Shane's arm, and I don't know what they can do about that. You don't just shut him down, but you also need to be cognizant of, hey, if we're sending him out there every fifth day, it might only exacerbate the issue, and we'll see. Or I'm just completely wrong, and hey, it is just a couple bad starts, and he is a competitor and a total dog, and he figures it out. I'm not ruling that out either by any means.
Yeah. Well, and I think Getz and Bannister have both gone on record saying they really have no intention of wanting to shut anyone down unless that's like the last resort. So, I mean, it almost makes you start to wonder, is it going to start being certain guys will get the crochet treatment where they'll have a pitch limit? It'll be like 50, 60 pitches. And once you've hit that, no matter what inning it is, like, sorry, we're protecting your arm so that next season you don't run into any issues or hit a wall. So,
Yeah, I wouldn't hate them doing that for Shane. I'm not, the rest of these guys. I feel like you still got to see what you got. You still got to see the full season of Davis Martin and Sean Burke and figure out, what their role is moving forward with the team, because I think they're both competent pitchers. I would not mind if they're both in the rotation next year, but probably in some trouble if Sean Burke's the opening day starter again.
yeah. Well, and it'll be interesting to say, like, they brought Noah Schultz up to Charlotte. Um, I mean, maybe he comes up in September, but even that feels like a stretch. I think they'll let him cook down there for a bit because there's really no incentive to, I guess, rush him up at this point.
No, I mean the rosters expand in September and that minor league season ends, and so but yeah, I hear you. I'm not gonna be holding it against them or harping on it if he doesn't make it up to the big leagues this year. It's a reason to watch. They'll get his debut and he'll pitch in front of 4,000 fans on a weekend in September, right? If he breaks camp with the team next year, great. But I wouldn't be opposed if they get him some licks this year and get him some big league experience before doing that. Is not a terrible idea either.
Yeah. Well, and the thing with him is he's so young that they've been really respectively coddling him. I'm not saying it's a bad thing by any means, but he had not thrown a ton of innings, so you're not gonna just kill your first round draft pick's arm just so you can rush him up to the majors for what? In a season where you're probably gonna lose another 100 games. Hagen Smith's interesting. He's a college arm, so if anything, you would think he should be coming up sooner rather than later. But he, I believe, is just coming back from working on whatever he was doing in Arizona and will be making, I think, Saturday, he's making a start for the Barons. Um, I'm interested to see what they do with him, though, because potentially you could sit and leave him in Birmingham for a majority of the season and then just give him a call up, kind of like Drew Thorpe. Because I think did Thorpe go straight from Birmingham? I feel like he did.
I don't remember.
Okay. Well, I mean, at least even Grant Taylor went straight from Birmingham,
Yeah,
didn't he? Yeah. So I know they do it occasionally with pitchers. It's less likely with the hitters, obviously, because they can't really develop hitters generally. So I
yeah.
mean, that's what's been exciting, but it's where I'm like very cautious on like how excited I could get about the development because all of these guys have come up. Other than Vargas, though, most of them developed pretty much in Boston system or with like Teal, Mydrith. Vargas, I mean, he was in the Dodgers system, and obviously they've made some adjustments with his swing, but Elko did not look prepared when he came up. I mean, people are complaining about Ryan Noda. At least Ryan Noda does not just like go up there and just swing at whatever the fuck is thrown.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
I'll hold a lot of things against the Sox development team. Tim Elko was a 10th round pick. Him not being a big league hitter is not an indictment on the White Sox ability to develop a hitter. I'm with you though on Noda. I mean, I like having the left-handed bat that, again, will work a good at bat. It's not that I
yeah.
wasn't pulling hard for Elko, but you'd watch him go up there sometimes, like you said, and just swing at everything. And they just throw him 3 crap pitches and he just chases them all, and then that's the at bat.
Well, and I just think people need to understand it's cool if you want to call up Tim Elko and Brooks Baldwin, but there's really no one that you can just option down. Whoever it is going to have to clear waivers. And grant, like, do you want to lose a Ryan Noda or someone like that, where if Tim Elko just comes up and continues just striking out and maybe hits one home run, what are you just going to ride that out the rest of the year? I don't foresee it getting better in the majors if it's not getting better in AAA, where his plate. I feel like he's almost just like peaked, where he will like hit one
Yeah,
occasionally, but it's not like people think just because he's mashing in AAA, it's going to just translate automatic. It's like it's so different. I mean, Moncada would go on a rehab assignment and just
yeah,
like hit home run after home run and then come up and be shit. So
yeah. I mean, I'm with you on that through and through. If he never plays on the majors again, that's not. I'm not going to lose an ounce of sleep over it.
yeah. I mean, maybe he probably will eventually get another shot. I would guess at some point this season. Maybe there's probably bound to be an injury at some point, but I mean, even Brooks Baldwin, it's so drastically different seeing because everyone, I think he hit his like 10th home run of the year or whatever. It's like, yeah, he can match AAA pitching, but there's certain spots where, especially with Baldwin, like the first time he got sent down, or even I think it was last year, because didn't he start the year in? Did he start the year in the majors or was he in AAA this year?
No, he started the year with the team. I
Okay.
right.
I think so. I don't know. He's gone down a few times, like over the last year and a half or so since he made his debut. I mean, at one point, it was just like all you had to do was throw a fastball up and in, and he was not hitting it, or
Yeah,
just like hitting it straight up in the air. So, I mean, if he can adjust, it'll be like I. I don't foresee him being like the starting center fielder or anything like people at let because he keeps playing center in AAA. Everyone's assuming they're like grooming him to take over for Robert. I I don't know. He's not looked particularly good in the outfield in the majors. When I mean, granted, he hasn't played a lot of outfield, but it just didn't seem like that would be who you. For Chris Getz, who claims they're all about their up the middle game, like we need to be sound, like up the middle. That just
no, that,
doesn't make sense to me. I mean,
yeah.
so
Yeah, being
um,
middle does not really align with playing a non-traditional center fielder in center field. So it's a good thought.
and it will get interesting because they also signed what's his name? Syndergaard.
Oh no, Syndergaard. Yeah, Thor. Yeah, that's. I mean, it was said a million times. So this is not original content here. I don't want to. I don't want to get accused of stealing tweets because I know that that's going around White Sox Twitter right now. It is the most White Sox. It is the most White Sox move of all time. It's just perfect. They love getting guys who are years past being replacement level players, above replacement level players. Like, I mean, in Syndergaard's case, obviously injuries derailed his career, whatever. And he wasn't even on a team last year. He wasn't on a team this year. He was just sitting at home. Uh,
Well, and it's interesting that the Sox have such like right when we got Savali, there was reports by like some of the beat writers like they have the intention of trying to flip Savali at the deadline. Are we also eating money on Savali's contract to flip him? Like, are they just going to go all in and any guy that they can actually get something if they just throw money on top of it? Are they? I mean, that would be interesting to see only because you'd get a ton of fucking prospects probably back. I mean, between if they were really to go all in and get rid of Talkman, I'm not a fan of that, but they
I
very well could do that. Um, but even Michael A. Taylor's been playing tolerable ball where a team could take a flyer on him as like a fourth outfielder. Not that it's anything special, but it's not going to cost you like Luis Robert Jr. money. But with the pitching side, I mean, if they flip Savali and Hauser, Clevenger apparently, I have not specifically looked. Some people are saying he's been pitching well his last four outings in Charlotte. So
I,
we could see the return of him, and then Thor coming up would be quite the rotation. You have three young guys and or probably four young guys and two guys who really have no business playing
Mike
Major League
Clemens or
Baseball for any other team.
If it were 2016, the league would be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. But other than that, I don't have. I mean, Robert's hurt again. God only knows how serious it is. They said it was a hamstring thing again. Um, I'm telling you, it almost sometimes feels like he's like, I want to stay on the White Sox, and I'm just like intentionally doing shit so that I cannot be traded.
I would believe that, except for the fact of why would he want to stay on the White Sox? Everything else points to that, other than when you actually think about what he's fighting for.
I have no. Maybe it's just a comfortability thing. Where
There probably is that aspect. Yeah, definitely.
Like if he goes to like a New York or something, they would eat. Like our fans obviously can be a little brutal. There are some fan bases that would eat him alive, and he just doesn't seem like the type of player that would embrace that in any way, shape, or form.
That you're right on. Yeah, you come here, play in front of an empty ballpark, and whatever. Yeah, it's very valid.
So it's just fun to kind of think about the hypotheticals of like he doesn't seem like a very outgoing player. Where maybe he just like, God, do not trade me to a contender. I have no desire to go to some big city and be like berated by people.
Right. No. Yeah. It's that
because when we went to the playoffs, no one was berating him because it was like we haven't fucking been to the playoffs in God knows how many years at this point. So like, we're
all those guys got away with no showing the playoffs, dude. None of those guys had an extra base hit that entire series. Grandal had that homer, and that was it. Like Abreu, Robert, Jimenez, Moncada, none of those guys even had extra base hits, and no one said boo. I mean,
Larry and Gavin Sheets.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they homer, and yeah, those guys disappear. I mean, Tim hit, but he didn't. He wasn't an extra base hit guy. He was on base a lot of things. But yeah, no, you're right. It's a great point. I don't think he wants to go be playing center field for the Mets in the heat of the.
That's
worst night.
Frank the Tank going off on his ass.
Yeah, seriously, just wait till Frank gets a hold of him. No, or fucking Philly. Could you imagine that?
Yeah. Well, and that's what's interesting is I think it's like Philly and San Diego have reported to have interest, and I believe the Mets did as well.
San Diego, he might be able to get away with it. I mean, but when you're, I think with all of those teams, now the fans in New York and Philly won't feel this way, but there are people who are making a lot. If they show up and they fall flat and come up short in the playoffs, you have other people who are making way more money, expected to contribute way more than Luis Roberts batting 7th or 8th in those lineups. I mean, maybe not in the Mets lineup. I don't know. I don't know what all their lineups look like fully healthy day to day. But he could easily he could play below average, and they were worried about like, oh, why didn't Juan Soto or Fernando Tatis or Bryce Harper show up and play in the postseason? Harper's probably built enough leeway, but
yeah. Well, and speaking of teams that are playing well, Detroit is just coasting, man. I don't know. I looked at the standings. They are.
No, it's 2021 White Sox levels, man. Where like no one else in the division is even maybe going to finish with a winning record, and they're just gonna be on cruise control. They need to not do what the White Sox did, which is just completely, play 500 ball or whatever the second half of the season and kind of tailspin into the playoffs. But no one really took note but that's what it's reminded me of, honestly, dude. Because like that whole year they got shit about how bad their division was. That's what I remember. Is the AL Central sucked. The AL Central sucked. Well, the Braves division sucked that year too, when they won the World Series. It turns out that doesn't matter at all. But that's what's reminded me of.
Oh yeah. Well, and they're just exciting to watch.
Right. God bless Jason Benetti, honestly, man.
And my boy Gleyber Torres, who I've only asked to fucking sign for like 3 off seasons in a row. He's putting out. I mean, he's really showing out. Granted, it makes you nervous. I've really started to question some of these players who like coast, and then all of a sudden, like right before a contract year, it's like, oh shit, like I'm just going off. How many home runs did Cal Raleigh hit last year? Do you know off the top of your head? Because he's leading the majors now, I believe.
Probably about what he has right now is probably his total last year, if I had to guess.
I'm just gonna Google that real quick.
30s. I mean, it was a good year. It wasn't this.
Because they played what, the Cubs recently?
He hit 4 homers in 3 games at Wrigley over the week.
Because I see all the jokes of people like, oh, he should steroid, like check him for drugs.
No, he's just the best catcher in the league.
Stats. Last year he had 34. Okay, it's not. I mean, if he continues to just go on a tear, it'll be a little skewed. He's
Dude,
at 27,
he's
30,
got the build for.
34. What?
Yeah, he's always been a power hitting catcher. He's just having a career year. In my
Yeah.
opinion, I like him, so I'm gonna defend. I don't want to hear any of those allegations, but no, I think he's the beast.
Yeah. I feel like he's hit a home run against the Sox this year.
Oh,
Maybe not.
that game against him 2 years ago, he had a couple here when they were in Chicago. I remember.
Didn't he walk us off in Seattle the one time over the last year or so? I feel like too.
He had that walk off for them a few years ago when they clinched the playoffs for the first time.
Okay.
But that wasn't against the Sox. Maybe it was against the Sox. Seattle's another place. I mean, I probably say it's about every that I feel like they always lose in, but yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, other than just kind of going over, they play the Giants this weekend. I'll be there tomorrow and then Sunday. Tomorrow's the Flow Rider concert, so we're hoping that doesn't get canceled like what's it called? 2 years ago with the gun lady, Vanilla Ice.
Oh yeah, that was
where I jokingly was at the game and they got their ass kicked, and I turned to the my buddy who I was with, and I was like, "Wouldn't it be funny if because there are people starting the whole like sell the team and fuck you Jerry and shit." I was like, "Wouldn't it be funny if he just canceled the concert because everyone was just being an asshole?" And all of a sudden, you see on the scoreboard as the game's ending, like, "Please note tonight's post game concert has been canceled." And I was like, "Damn, he really took that to heart." And did not know that someone was shot until I was about halfway home. So it was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was, Sox lost, but I'm good.
Yeah, I'll be all right.
Then they're like, "Yeah, someone got shot in the stadium."
Yeah.
So,
oh my Lord.
But Giants, I don't know the pitching matchups even. Let me see here.
I'll go ahead and say they're going to lose that series regardless of pitching matchups.
If Savali's tomorrow. Hauser is on Saturday, and then Sunday is the to be determined.
But yeah.
So I'll go. Maybe they'll do some home cooking because they got whacked by Arizona and now have a day off. I'll say they'll win 2 out of 3. They won't sweep at home, but sneak 2 wins out.
Verlander pitching for the Giants at all? Because he likes to beat us. That's an automatic loss.
Robbie Ray is pitching on Saturday, and then Verlander Sunday.
Yeah, well, Sunday's a loss, so they better win tomorrow and Saturday then. Because look at that, man. You're thinking year 2025, you'd still be going to Sox Park to watch Justin Verlander dice him up. Crazy.
Yeah, it could be rough. It's really the bats, though. I mean, a lot of times the pitching, I mean, there's obviously the off games like Monday or whatever where they like blow it up early, but the pitching's been relatively good overall. So it's really just are the bats there or not.
That's why they need
it's not power. It's like convert because we hit like one home run. One home run in a game is like, all right, we're doing okay today.
Yeah.
Or when they hit multiple, you're like, oh shit, this is the game to be at.
Yeah. Yeah, like yesterday or Friday night in Toronto. Like, wow, they're hitting the ball. This is fun. This is different. What inspired this, you know?
Yeah, so and then they go to the Dodgers, LA for 3 games. I'll be nice and say they'll win 1 game there, But I'm assuming the shaking of your head is just like, fuck no, they're gonna get
I've
swept.
just decided on the spot here right now when you told me that, like, oh, and those are going to be late games. I won't be staying up to watch those bloodbaths. I mean, maybe you get. I mean, the Dodgers have had some starting pitching injuries, so like maybe you get the one game where you find them in the right spot, and they're. I don't even know. I don't even know what that rotation looks like currently, but pitch Shane
Where
Smith Sunday. Then don't give him the extra day off, and his reward is pitching against the fucking Dodgers. That's my only take on it.
I didn't even think of it that way, but yeah, I kind of agree.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
mean,
really.
let him pitch at home against San Francisco as opposed to go there. What I think it's Monday or Tuesday, and just like have a lineup that is just not going to be friendly to you if you can't spot your pitches.
Yeah, don't go make him face that when you're trying to work his confidence back after two shaky outings. That's a terrible idea, but that's not worth the extra day off, in my opinion. I mean, he already got the day because they had the day off today, so he's already going from Monday to Sunday without pitching. So
And they did yank him pretty early. Like, what do he have? Like 60 some pitches? It
yeah,
wasn't like he
he
didn't go
went,
like 80 or anything.
yeah, he pitched 2 innings. I'm pretty sure only
Yeah.
2 or 3. Yeah, it was a very short outing. So, yeah, I say pitch him Sunday against Verlander at home. That's a way better bet than sending him to LA.
I do too, only because I don't really want to do some janky ass bullpen game.
Yeah, that's just
I mean,
punting.
Mike Vassal's fun to watch, but he's really kind of caps at like 4 innings is
Yep.
about where he hits his limit. So I
Both
mean,
times gone out there, you can tell when it's gotten away from him or whatever. I don't know if he had more starts than that, but the 2 times that I remember watching him make those starts, you can see, okay, he's reached his capacity, and then you let him in, and the first one he gave up that homer, and then the game was kind of over after that. I think that was a Sunday game.
well, in this last time he pitched, I don't think he got a start. It was the Grant Taylor started. Remember, they all of a sudden like swapped, and it was like Grant Taylor starting. I think Grant Taylor went 1 inning, and then Vassal went like 3 or 4 after that.
I don't hate
Um, yeah, it just makes you. I mean, they're just getting weird with it. I
yeah,
mean, we've had every. I mean, we were making fun of the Brewers for having an opener. I mean, we're just fucking throwing whoever. We're just like, oh, your arm's good. Let's go. Get out there.
oh yeah. Yeah. It's the beauty of cheering for a 100-loss team playing with nothing to lose.
Yeah, and Vinny Capra may have pitched more innings than half the pitching staff in the that's
Yeah,
been option. So, but other than that, yeah, should be interesting. If they could pull out 3 wins in the next 6 games, I'd be very pleased. 2, I'd still be probably happy with as long as they don't just get like shellacked every day.
yeah, I'd be over the moon if we were here talking about a 2-4 week next week, man. That means that either that means they didn't get swept twice or they won one of the series. And when you're going up against teams like that, especially having to go to LA, I'm taking that. And then with team owner Justin Verlander starting against them on Sunday, I would consider that a massive accomplishment. 3-3, I might be here talking about playoffs next week.
Yeah. We just go on a massive reverse tear of the the 2021 season you were referencing?
Yeah.
Just mediocre as fuck, or not even. I mean, bad the first half, and just go ape shit in the second. Yeah.
It would take some,
So,
but yeah, no, but that's funny. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not very confident, but I didn't think they'd win the series in Toronto. So
well, and I saw people were like, "Oh, we're missing Otani." It's like Otani pitched like 1 fucking inning the last time he was out. I highly doubt they're just going to
one
go from like
start.
1 to fucking 6. Here's go have a full start. I mean, it might have been good to hit Otani, honestly, in that series with the Dodgers.
Yeah, because then it's a bullpen game after, and then if
Yeah,
early in the series, if that's the first game, then they burn up whoever pitches after him.
yeah.
It's
So
almost to your advantage. I mean, they can mess with games. Dodgers aren't going to care if they lose this game when they start him, because they just need to ramp him up to have him ready to go for when they're actually playing meaningful baseball, because they know they're going to be there no matter what. So
yeah. And then the only other thing is we got a little Cubs talk in here. Did you see PCA not know how many outs
Oh
there
yeah,
were?
watching when that happened.
Oh my God.
Oh, that was
It
hilarious.
just reminded you of the last core, though. That was like the stupid shit that they would do, and you'd just be
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck were you doing?" Like,
Oh yeah, no, it's great. He's had a tough week to get hit last night, but definitely, yeah, he came up and took maybe the hardest swing I've ever seen anybody take at the plate. His next at bat after that, you could tell how mad he was. So I got a bit
well, at
of
least it bothered him. We had
yeah,
fucking
no,
guys who would just like up
yeah,
over the
would
shoulder. It's over.
yeah. Luis Robert does that, man. He doesn't give a shit. He wouldn't even come with bat. He wouldn't even remember that it happened.
Yeah. It's pretty sad that it really got to the point yesterday where I almost felt relieved thinking like, yep, they traded him.
Yeah, so
There's no way this is an injury. So we shall see how long he's out. I think they posted something today that they're hoping he should be good to go tomorrow, but we're waiting it out to see. So other than that, that's
get the
all.
Brooke Baldwin wish, but yeah, that's all I got too.
All right. Well, we will be back next week. And for now, that's all we got, folks. Let's hope we get some wins this weekend.
Yes, sir.